Hello everyone, and welcome back to Hidden Korea. Today, we're diving into one of the most breathtaking and unexpected events to shake the entire Asian entertainment world. A moment that blended glamour, secrecy, and pure emotion into a single unforgettable spectacle. Talking about inside Dylan Wang and Bailu's 2025 Beijing wedding, the unforgettable event that stunned all of Asia. What really happened behind the scenes? What made this ceremony so shocking, so legendary, that fans still can't stop talking about it? Stay with us, because we're uncovering everything, right now. No one in Asia was prepared for the storm that erupted on the morning of April 12, 2025. Beijing had just begun to shake off the chill of early spring. But the sudden wave of whispers that swept across the entertainment world felt like a flash fire, fast, hot, uncontrollable. It started with a single anonymous post on Weibo. A post that disappeared barely minutes after it appeared, yet left behind an explosive question that sent millions racing for answers. Why are Dylan Wang and Bailu's families gathering at the Forbidden City tonight? It sounded impossible, too private, too grand, too unbelievable to be real. But in the quiet corners of Beijing's luxury districts, security teams were already blocking roads. Decorators were adding final touches to an event shrouded in secrecy. And a select group of insiders were receiving black and gold invitations marked only with the initials W and B. By the time the sun set, the rumor had already turned into a wildfire of panic, excitement, denial, hope. Dylan Wang and Bailu were getting married in Beijing. No one had expected this. Not the fans, not the media, not even some of their closest colleagues, because for years, the two stars had mastered the art of silence. They denied rumors, avoided unnecessary speculation, and maintained an icy professionalism that convinced the entire industry they were nothing more than co-stars who happened to get along unusually well. But now, with helicopters circling the capital and luxury cars sliding through hidden entrances like shadows, it became clear that something monumental was unfolding, something powerful enough to silence even the most skeptical hearts. Inside the Forbidden City, the atmosphere was surreal. Lanterns flickered along the ancient corridors, casting warm glows on the red and gold decor that had transformed the historic palace into an ethereal fairy tale setting. Every detail was chosen with precision, silk banners embroidered with phoenix and dragon motifs, cascading white orchids flown in from Bangkok that morning. Glass aisle built over a shallow reflecting pool that captured the stars above like a mirror of the heavens. Guests walked through the silent corridors with hushed awe, realizing they were witnessing a moment that would be written into entertainment history. But the tension behind the scenes told a very different story. Hours before the ceremony, Dylan Wang's dressing room was in chaos, not because of nerves, but because of the overwhelming weight of what he was about to do. The usually confident star paced the floor, running his fingers through his hair, ignoring the frantic makeup artist trying to keep him camera ready. His hands trembled, not with fear, but with a kind of emotional intensity that even his closest friends had seldom seen. "Do you think she's nervous?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. His best man, a longtime friend, smiled weakly. "She's Bailu. She doesn't get nervous." But they both knew that wasn't true. Not tonight. In another room, not far but worlds away, Bailu sat completely still, her wedding dress flowing around her like a frozen waterfall. Her makeup artist dabbed at the corner of her eye. But the slight shimmer was not glitter, it was the emotion she had fought so hard to keep inside. She looked breathtaking, fragile, and fierce all at once, like a heroine caught between destiny and danger. "Are you ready?" her stylist whispered. She swallowed. "I've been ready for years." The admission hung in the air like a secret finally allowed to breathe. Outside, vehicles began to arrive. Sleek black sedans carrying A-list celebrities, industry titans, and a carefully curated group of personal friends who had signed confidentiality contracts thicker than a drama script. Even so, their eyes widened in disbelief as they stepped into the courtyard, realizing the impossible scale of the event. The media had no access, no leaks, no clues. Every camera within a mile radius had been shut down. Privacy had never been executed so ruthlessly, so flawlessly. But of course, nothing involving two of Asia's biggest stars could remain completely hidden. As the ceremony drew closer, fans outside the Forbidden City began to gather in massive numbers, their voices trembling with excitement and disbelief. Drones, though illegal over the area, was dangerously close before being intercepted. Thieves were live streaming the entrance gates, hoping to catch Shiv in a shadow of the bride and groom. And when Dylan finally stepped out, tall, striking, dressed in a perfectly tailored midnight suit, the world outside the walls erupted into chaos. He paused for a moment, closing his eyes as the wind carried the distant echoes of screaming fans. There was a tremor in his breath, a mix of overwhelming joy and crushing responsibility. He had chosen this. He had chosen her. He had chosen to reveal it to the world in the most dramatic way imaginable. But the real shock came when Bai Lu appeared. Palace doors opened slowly, revealing her in a gown that shimmered like moonlight woven into silk. Her veil trailed behind her in delicate waves, and the lotus-shaped crown resting on her head glowed faintly under the lanterns. She looked like a vision carved out of an ancient legend, a queen returning to claim her place in history. And when she stepped onto the glass aisle, the entire courtyard fell silent. Dylan's eyes widened, all the hidden emotion in his heart breaking free in a single breath. He moved toward her instinctively, able to hide the raw intensity of his love anymore. Watched with a mixture of awe and disbelief. This wasn't the careful, composed Dylan Wang the world knew. A man in love, fiercely, helplessly, undeniably. But just as he reached her, a sudden sound shattered the quiet, a phone ringing, loud and sharp, slicing through the sacred stillness. It came from the back row. A gasp spread through the audience as security rushed forward, grabbing the device instantly. Flashing across the screen sent a ripple of alarm through the inner circle. Someone had broken the confidentiality barrier. Someone was trying to leak the wedding. And that was only the beginning. What happened next would shake not just the wedding, but the entire continent. The room froze as security swarmed the back row, silence cutting through the air like a blade. Exchanged alarmed glances, their breaths trapped in their throats. The phone screen still glowed as it was snatched away, playing a single message that sent a cold chill through the wedding staff. Are you ready to upload? Upload. More terrifying in the modern world than any threat spoken aloud. Dylan felt the shift instantly, his jaw tightened, heartbeat pounding loud enough to drown the murmurs rippling through the guests. Bai Lu, her hand still hovering in midair as she reached for him. Her pulse stuttered, but she did not back away. Instead, she stepped closer, her fingers brushing his wrist, a silent signal of strength in the middle of chaos. Continue, she whispered. Voice, soft but steady, echoed with a courage that forced the guests back into their seats. Musicians hesitated, hands trembling above their instruments, waiting for a cue. Dylan looked at her, searching for doubt, fear, hesitation, but all he found was resolve glowing like fire in her eyes. He nodded. Just as the music resumed, a second disruption tore through the ceremony. This time, it wasn't a phone. It was a person, a figure pushing through the side entrance. Breathless, panicked, clutching a thick envelope wrapped in red wax. The guards moved instantly. Guests rose in shock. Dylan instinctively stepped in front of Bai Lu, shielding her as the intruder stumbled forward, shouting with desperation that rang through the palace walls. Stop the ceremony. They need to know the truth. A collective gasp erupted. Cameras snapped back instinctively, even though none were allowed. Action twisted into something dangerous. Electric, uncontrollable. The man was dragged to his knees by security. He held the envelope up high as if it were a sacred object. His voice cracked as he shouted again. Don't understand, this concerns both of them. Someone is trying to destroy everything. Bai Lu's eyes widened. Dylan froze. The envelope was passed to the wedding coordinator, then to Dylan, who hesitated for a long moment before breaking the wax seal. Content spilled out, photographs, documents, financial statements, leaked messages, and something far more chilling, a list of names neither of them expected to see on a night meant to be the happiest of their lives. The names of the people who had been secretly selling information about them for years. Friends, staff, former colleagues, industry insiders, even someone Bai Lu had once called family. Gasps broke out across the courtyard. Some guests covered their mouths. Others stared in horror, realizing they were witnessing not just a wedding, but a scandal unfolding in real time. Bai Lu felt the world tilt beneath her feet. He had suspected betrayal before, small signs, subtle oddities, information that leaked without explanation, but never like this. Never this organized, this deep, this cruel. His hands shook as he flipped through the documents. Every page felt like a knife twisting deeper. He had worked tirelessly to protect her, protect them both. From public scrutiny. The very people they trusted had been waiting like wolves, ready to pounce the moment their guard slipped. He lifted his head, eyes darkening with a storm he could no longer contain. Who sent this? He demanded. Shooter, still held on the ground, answered with a mix of fear and urgency. A fan. Someone who uncovered everything and wanted to warn you. They said tonight was your last chance before everything went public. A heavy silence swallowed the courtyard. Trail was real. The danger was immediate. The wedding, the fairy tale, the dream, it all hung by a fragile thread. But then something unexpected happened. Ailu stepped forward, her gown trailing behind her like a wave of white fire. She took the documents from Dylan's hands, scanned them with an expression that shifted from shock to anger to icy, crystalline clarity. Then she lifted her chin. One, she said slowly, gets to decide our future except us. Her voice echoed through the palace, steady, powerful, unbroken. Guests straightened. Musicians froze mid-movement. Even the security guards paused. Dylan stared at her, breathless. The woman before him wasn't the fragile bride he feared would crumble under the weight of betrayal. She was a storm, calm, controlled, breathtakingly fierce. He took her hand in both of his, grounding himself in her strength. Do you still want to continue? He whispered. She didn't hesitate. Yes. Because if we stop now, they win. Her words ignited the courtyard like a spark dropped into gasoline. Guests erupted into applause, hesitant at first, then roaring with intensity. Even staff members wiped tears from their eyes. Intrusion no longer felt like a disruption, it felt like a test. And together, Dylan and Bailu had chosen to fight for their moment, not surrender it. Dylan turned to the officiant, voice resonating with renewed purpose. Let's continue. The ceremony restarted, but now the atmosphere thrummed with a deeper emotion. Every vow carried the weight of everything they had endured. Every glance spoke of loyalty born through fire. Every touch felt like a declaration of war against the shadows that had stalked them for years. When Dylan read his vows, his voice cracked with raw sincerity. Choose you, not just in peace, but in chaos. Not just in happiness, but in every moment we must fight to stay together. When Bailu spoke hers, tears shimmered in her eyes. I choose you, no matter who tries to rewrite our story. No matter how loud the world becomes. I choose you because even betrayal cannot break what we've built. Their kiss was met with thunderous applause, loud, emotional, triumphant. The wedding continued. The lanterns glowed brighter. The stars seemed to shine more fiercely. And for a moment, it felt as if the universe itself had bowed to their resilience. It wasn't finished. Because as the newlyweds walked down the aisle, hand in hand, a notification lit up on the confiscated phone. A message that made the head of security go pale. Wedding continues. We release everything at midnight. The final twist. The final threat. The final shadow waiting to strike. The fairy tale wedding had survived, but the battle was far from over. Because Asia's most unforgettable wedding was only the beginning of a war no one saw coming. As the final lanterns dimmed over the forbidden city and the echoes of the night slowly faded, one truth remained unshaken, despite the chaos, the betrayal, and the threats waiting beyond the palace walls. Wang and Bailu walked forward together, unbroken, defiant, and stronger than ever. Their wedding was not just a celebration of love, but a declaration of resilience. A moment that proved no scandal, no conspiracy, and no shadow could destroy a bond forged in honesty and fire. The night that stunned Asia became a story of courage, unity, and the power of choosing each other when the world tries to pull you apart. Thank you for joining us on this unforgettable journey. Thank you for watching. Feeling every twist, every emotion, every heartbeat of this extraordinary night. We truly appreciate your time, your support, your presence here with us. And as always, thank you for being a part of Hidden Korea. Stay tuned for more stories, more mysteries, and more breathtaking moments. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and stay with us.